Now that you're in escrow on the property you've been looking for and you've done your inspections, chances are you're going to find a few things that can be a little unsettling. Perhaps you found knob and tube wiring in the attic, or you found a gas leak, or maybe the foundation's crumbling a little bit. These are all things that come up all the time in real estate deals. And depending on how much leverage you have in the deal with the seller, that can determine what you can expect from a result. Now, more often than not, the solution is going to come in the way of a request for a repair. My name is Alex Stoeber, and in this video, we are going to talk about request for a repair and what you can do in order to figure out who's going to pay for what and who is going to do what work on a property. But before we do, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications for future videos. Let's get into it. First, you must do your inspections on a property to make sure you know what condition it's in. You're going to do inspections, general home inspector, pest inspector, you're going to have a sewer lateral inspector. All of those inspectors are going to give you reports. And these reports are going to give you an idea if you need a specialist for different parts of the home to come out and give you quotes on different things. For example, if you find that there's cracks up your walls and your windows aren't sliding properly, then you may have a bit of a foundation issue. I can't tell you, I'm not going to be able to diagnose every issue, but those are clear symptoms that you could have a foundation issue on your hands. So what do? You have a foundation contractor come out and give you an invoice on what it's going to take to fix that issue. Are you going to have to jack that house up? Are you going to have to put helical piers in the ground? You're going to have to fix some footings? Is there some warping in your floorboards? What's going on there? That's what you're going to have to figure out and get invoices to know what the damage is. Quite literally, you need to know what the damage to different parts of the home is so that you know what you need to ask for or what you feel comfortable with. If there's something in your reports that makes you feel uneasy, for example, if there is knob and tube wiring under insulation in the attic and it's going to take $40,000, $100,000 to take out the electrical, you have to figure out, is that worth it to you? Is that something that you want to do? Or do you want to have the seller take care of the different work that needs to be done? That's up to you. It's all up to your comfort level. And I've seen various different deals where some people will go in with no contingencies and say, hey, whatever issues the house have, I'm going to take those on as the buyer. And I've also had other people really not want to do with any work at all and just want a turnkey property. Regardless of what other people have done, it's really up to you and what your comfort level is. So what do? You have these invoices, you know how much it's going to cost to do different work, and you have inspections, you have all the reports, you've done your investigations. What do you do from here? The next step is you need to submit a request for repair. It's a form that you'll work on with your agent, and the form will essentially lay out exactly what needs to be done with the work that you want done, and also how you want it done. Do you want the work done A, before the close of escrow by the seller? Do you want it done in the B way, which is they give you a credit for all of the different work that needs to be done? Or C, do you want a reduction in the purchase price of the home? Now, the seller doesn't have to agree to any of these options. It really depends on the leverage that you have in the deal. By the leverage, I mean, is there anyone in backup position? Is there a buyer who is waiting in the wings to see if you'll cancel escrow so that they can pick up the home? And more often than not, a listing agent will go to those backup buyers and say, hey, will you sign an as-is addendum so that if you get the home that you're going to pay, you're not going to request any repairs by the close of escrow. And what that means is that buyer can see all of the inspections that you've done, all the reports you've done, and then decide for themselves if they would ask for any work to be done or if they would take the home as is. That creates leverage for the listing agent and the seller, because then they can tell you, hey, we have someone else who would take the home as is without making any requests. However, if there is no backup offer in place and there is a high motivation from the seller has to sell right away, and your offer is competitive enough to really make them want to sell, well, you have a whole different story there, right? So the seller cannot just cancel escrow on you for you asking for anything, right? The seller cannot unilaterally cancel escrow, but they can deny requests for repair, or they can negotiate with you and, for example, offer you half of what your request is rather than giving you the full thing. Well, that means that once you get a response, you give a request for repair, you ask for all of the work to be done before the close of escrow. The seller says, I don't have time to do all the work. There's a lot of foundation work to be done or something. We only have 30 days to close. So I'm going to give you a credit for all of that work. And this is what I would be open to doing. So you can then decide if you're going to accept the credit or if you're going to cancel escrow at that point, as long as you're within your contingency period, your 17-day, your 14-day, your 10-day, your 7-day contingency period that you decide on. As long as you're within that period, your deposit is not at risk at that point, because there are parts of the residential purchase agreement that actually protect you when you're doing your investigations, whether it's finding something out in the disclosures or finding something out about the physical property. You are protected with your deposit. It's the earnest money deposit. And 9.9 times out of 10, I've actually never seen anyone lose their deposit when they're in the physical and just their investigation period in general. And also, if you're outside of that time period, if you release your contingency for investigations and you decide, hey, the house looks great, and you don't ask for anything, or you take those credits, maybe you take the credits that the seller is saying they'll give you at the close of escrow once you close, and then you find something else out later on after you remove your contingency, well, then there is a different story. And I've seen it where the seller says, okay, that's fine, you can take your deposit back. And I've seen some situations where the seller will fight the buyer for it because of the damages of putting the home under contract or revealing certain things about the property with no intention of actually buying it. So to be clear, and in conclusion, if you're going to buy the property, you want to do investigations, and then you want to be very mindful of what your contingency period is, whether it's 7 days, 14 days, 17 days. And also, when you're mindful of that, you want to make sure that you have all your investigations done, your specialists and reports and invoices in, and then submit a request for repair within the period of time that your investigation contingency is. And you also want to be prepared for if there are any backup offers, any leverage that the seller has that may make them not want to give you any concessions, because that would affect your ability to get the best deal possible. And that's what I'm here for. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this is helpful in understanding how requests for repairs work. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications for future videos. Thank you so much, and have a great day.